I'd like to show you how to select or subset a data set and save just a piece of it. Part of the reason we need to do that is that the data sets are often large and we don't want to carry all those data along. We're not interested in all of them and they just slow things down. First, I'd like to show you how to add another XY tile service, which we can see by going down to the Open XY tiles. Now I have various ones loaded here and I can just drag them in to my space to show the data. But again, here you see one of the issues, these large data sets, they seem to misalign, except when I zoom in and they repaint, then they realign. And part of that is just because there's so much data here to display. But I'm going to remove this one from my layers and show you how to add another one. Now, first you have to look up the URL for a tile service. And most web searches, for example, if I do a web search on a Google tile service URL, I'll get a list of URLs for the various kinds, and I'll show you how to add one of those that I looked up. So I right-click on this XYZ tiles, which is in the browser panel, which remember we can display by going to the view and setting the panel browser, turning it on. Once I have that browser panel open, then if I left-click and then left-click again on a new connection, I can give this a name. I'll just call this Google 1, misspelled, of course, and I'll go to the tile service URL I looked up, and it's provided in the lab materials for you here that accompany this set of videos. You can see here then that I've pasted it in, and when I say OK to apply it, a new one shows up, this Google One. I can left click and click hold to drag that down onto my panel, and here see I get this new tile service showing up. Again, it appears to be misaligned. Now to show you some of the issues that you might have, suppose I want to work in a different coordinate system than the generic Entity 83 because I'm working up in Alaska. I pick an Alaska state plane, and when I load that, I get this really weird display, and it takes a bit of time to repaint the panel in the background. So I'm only going to be working with a little bit of these data, just this few cities on Kodiak Island. I might want to permanently subset those, save those to a new file, but first I have to select them. There's various selection tools you can use. Now this is pretty straightforward because they're by themselves out on an island, so I could use the standard selection tool here, select features by a rectangle. So if I activate it by clicking on that tool and drag, so I'm clicking and dragging to define a rectangle, you see they change the selection color from the red to the yellowish green, showing that, oh, these are the selected set. But if I had a different set that, for example, up in here that I couldn't grab with a rectangle, I might want to use another selection tool. I can deselect with this, select with a universal stop symbol. I could use then one of these other tools. I could select by a polygon, where I have to click each vertex to describe a polygon. And then when I right click at the end, see they're selected. And again, I'll unselect those. Or I can select freehand. So I just have to click at the start, and then as I run my mouse around, it draws a polygon. And then again, when I finish with the left or right click at the end, these are selected. Well, once I have them selected, how do I save them? So I'm going to close the browser panel so the dialog doesn't go off the bottom here. But if I right click on the cities, I can go to export and I can save the selected features, not save features. I save selected features, it'll only save those that are colored in this case. And so I can do my usual save selected features, provide a file name, hit OK, and off they'll go. And in that way, you can save the subset of features that you've selected into a new data set.